That's fucking minging, that.
I tell you what that is, fucking men against fucking boys all over the fucking park. They're fucking weak as piss, they are. Fucking weak as piss.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the ROKER RAPPORT podcast. As you can tell, I'm not in the best fettle at the minute. It's Gavia and Sunderland have just been beaten by the team placed 91st in the English football pyramid, just to give you an idea of how bad the team that just beat Sunderland are. And today I'm joined by Malc. How we doing? Or was that a daft question?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Well, I was good till this bloody game started, and then I'm having a bit of a mare, but yeah, it's a challenging day as we get used to.
Well, yeah, we're going to get into that, I guess.
I'm well personally, mate, apart from the football.
Yeah, don't blame you, mate. Antia, how you doing, mate?
I'm good personally, but football-wise, absolutely sodding raging, to be honest.
Yeah, well, let's just get straight into it. I mean, we
lost
1-0, as I just said, to Mansfield Town. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. 1-0, yes, they scored, we didn't, against a team who are second bottom of League Two, and that just about says it all. Sunderland's performance was horrendous from start to finish. We never looked like scoring. I think we maybe hit the bar early on, so I suppose we were close, but even then I think Danny Graham, if he hadn't have tried to head the ball, it would have just hit him and went in. And as the game progressed, they went on to score. A bit of suspect defending on our part. The ball comes out from a set piece, I think, and nobody goes across to close the man down, crossing the ball in from about 35 yards out. It's a great ball, to be fair, and it's a great header. You could probably whinge a little bit about Dion Sanderson's placement. He does get beaten to the ball, but in my opinion, it shouldn't get that far. And we just don't respond. It's as simple as that. Sunderland don't respond. I mean, we do have plenty of the ball. Mansfield allow us the ball, though. It's not as if they were trying to get at us and get a second goal. And even then, we just couldn't break them down. And Phil Parkinson's solution to that was to bring on a host of substitutes and change nothing about his tactical plan. So Aidan O'Brien, a centre-forward who came from the Championship and we were told is a goal scorer, went to left wing-back. I can't even remember who else came on. Charlie Wyke came on and done nothing different to what Danny Graham did. I think he came close with a header.
He brought Embleton on, mate. He was the other one, wasn't he? And he did okay, arguably. Yeah,
and Embleton came on for Maguire, who looked as bad as he's ever looked for Sunderland. Chris Maguire, he just didn't look bothered today. And all in all, it was about as bad as it gets. I mean, it was your typical cup performance when you just go, you kind of meekly rumble out and don't really put up much of a fight. Malc, I mean, I know I've skimmed over most of it there, but your feelings on that after seeing what Sunderland served up today?
Well, they didn't serve up, did they? They served up very little. And interestingly, there's a bunch of fireworks going off out the back of my house right now, and that's the best excitement I've had all afternoon. Now it's dark, because that was just grim. We were okay at the back, apart from the goal, which I agree was well taken. We had no midfield. We had width on both flanks, which obviously we can talk about a little bit more later on. We had no attacking, prowess at all. And I agree with your comment about O'Brien being the weirdest substitute I think I've seen for several years. You know what I mean? But yeah. I mean, I wrote something recently. It might have been in one of the Richest pieces that, if we get beat, I'm not bothered as long as we lose, proving other methods and other approaches and other players and other strategies and tactics. And today it was just more of the same, and we got beat by a team that can't win for love nor money. So, not great.
And how about you?
Just toothless, weren't we? I mean, it's kind of... It's been coming though, hasn't it? Something like that. Because in the last few games, we've had a little bit of luck with Ipswich getting a man sent off, a little bit of luck last week with Gilliam getting a man sent off, then we're getting penalties when we haven't looked as if we're being particularly, better than them. But this is against a League Two side who are, as you've said, second or third off bottom, wherever they are. And this is the thing that's really infuriating us at the minute is this was a chance for like a few of these players who everyone is going on, why is Will Grigg not playing, why is, Max Power on the bench and all this stuff like that. Well, we've just watched 90 minutes of, the only people I can really say who can't come out with not much criticism anyway is probably Conor McLaughlin, Jack Diamond, Elliot Embleton when he came on, and Cal McFadden. The rest of them were absolutely disgusting. It was a disgusting performance, to be honest. And I know everyone's like saying, oh, well, the cup doesn't matter. But yes, it does when you're getting beat 1-0 off a team who were, inferior to you, and all credit to Mansfield because they came, had a job, they did the job very well, and they scored a nice goal, but it's just infuriating, absolutely infuriating that we're like having to pay a tenner to watch that, basically.
Aye, yeah. I mean, I know they're just getting a new manager, so obviously that comes with a little bit of enthusiasm, you'd think, in the dressing room. Maybe the players who play today for Mansfield were thinking, well, if I impress, I might, force my way into the manager's plans. But I think that's probably given us too much of a short shrift. It was poor. I can't say it enough, really. And we will get on to the individual performances soon. But if there was one thing today, I know that Ant's just ticked over a few of them. Some positives. Is there any that you can take from the game?
Sorry about the noise in the background, fellas. It's bonfire night, so there's some stuff going off.
I think it's going on everywhere. I don't worry, I can hear it.
That's how it is this time of year, and it's like I say, I wish there was a bit more frigging gunpowder on the pitch today, but never mind. Positives, McFadden had a good debut. Definitely, I agree with your point there, Ant. He showed a lot of kind of craft and capability. I don't want to get too carried away, but if Denver Hume takes a knock and needs a couple of weeks off, he looks like a good deputy. He could even push Denver for the role, in the first jersey. You don't know. Diamond had a decent game, but his problem was he was whipping them in and we just had nobody on the 18-yard box kind of ready to get in front of the defenders. So I thought Diamond had a decent game. Grigg showed elements of promise, but we're still not playing the way Grigg wants to play. So we might well beat him up in a minute with numbers, but there's still an argument that isn't a fair crack for the lad. If you're wanting to look for negatives, Gav, we better stop now because I'll never stop.
Yeah. I don't want to go too in depth on this, Ant, because I imagine this will feature heavy tomorrow when the lads record the review show. But a lot of party out tweets after that game. Is it fair to be saying party out right now? I mean, at my point, and I said this, and I'll definitely give my perspective before I let you talk. But I've said on Twitter that I am party out, and I do feel like a bit of a hypocrite because it wasn't 2 minutes ago that I was saying this is fine, but I think I was kidding myself, if I'm honest. The last series of performances have shown me there's something underlying there that we need to worry about. And today capped it off because that result today could have happened at any point in the last, 3 weeks maybe? Like you said before, the last two results, we've kind of been saved by decisions made by the referee, so penalty decisions and red cards and so on. And that could have happened against Ipswich. It could have happened in the game before that. I'm just worried that if something doesn't change soon, this could lead to another season where we're just batting outside of that top two where we should be. But what about you? I mean, how are you feeling on that front?
Yeah, I said on Tuesday night when we did the ratings pod for the Ipswich game, I said I can't work out whether he's lucky or a genius, and today is kind of confirmed. He's just been lucky, hasn't he? Especially this season. If they're gonna change it now. Change it now where there is some managers who would jump at the chance to come and probably play better football. You got the Cowley brothers, you got Paul Cook. Gavin, in our WhatsApp group, you alluded to Gustavo Poyet, and there is managers who will get more out of this team at the minute because we are just stumbling through games. Yes, we're sixth in the league, 4 points off top of the game in hand, but we can't go on playing like this for 2 or 3 months because evidently teams will find us out. And then, teams will just do what Mansfield done today. They'll come and defend for 45 minutes. We kind of break through because we haven't got enough up front. And then they'll go and try and have a 10, 15 minutes crack at us in the second half. And we just couldn't. As soon as they scored, you knew we weren't going to score. So, yeah, if there is a chance, I wouldn't lose any sleep if they did lose him. And I will bring up a point that Jack Ross, he got sacked this time last year. Mm-hmm. For exactly the same. We were probably sixth in the table, weren't we?
Yeah.
So, if they're going to do it, they need to do it now for me. That today is just, like I say, it's absolutely pathetic. So it wouldn't surprise us one jot. However, I do think the owners will have the Mansfield Cup game very low on the list of priorities.
I get what you're saying. It probably is low down on the priority list, but it's the manner of the performances for me, Malc. I don't know about you, but the sort of the results are, and that again, I know people are listening to this will say it, but I'll hold up my hands. I sound like a hypocrite saying this, but the performances do matter, because it showed today that after playing poorly for as long as we have today, we've lost against a crap team. And it's like, where does that end? Are we really going to kick on from here? We're going to play better football? Is it going to improve? I'm struggling to see the positives in the way we're playing at the minute beyond players like McFadzean today, Denver Hume regularly does this, and Jack Diamond. They're the three players we've got who can run at teams. But other than that, what have we really got to sing about?
Yeah, I mean, the one trump card, pardon the pun, with the bloody election going on, although I've heard he's just lost, which is a bonus.
There we go. That's one thing we're happy about today,
exactly, yeah. One trump card that unfortunately Phil Parkinson has got is we're still in the middle of this supposed takeover. We're still in the middle of, they don't know what the government bailout's going to be for football at the different levels. Would anybody force change when we're in all of that uncertainty? So Parky out might be something that'll start picking up. But people want rid of the club, for reasons that they've elaborated on a little bit, some of which make sense, some of which don't. I agree. I did say previously, I don't care if we lose this, but we need to lose it in a manner that allows us to grow and blossom in different ways. And today, we didn't blossom. We were embarrassing.
Yeah.
I had my shirt on all day this afternoon, and I just chucked it in the dining room to come and do this podcast.
It's happened the last 3 years as well, wasn't it? The FA Cup's out in rugby, Mal. It's happened the last 3 years. In the Cup, where we're limped out of Walsall 2 years ago, which I think it was a replay, wasn't that? Was the second round. At least we got the second round then. And then the last 2 years, we lost to Gillingham, where we were absolutely diabolical at home, and then lost 1-0 away. And then today, where we've been shocking. So it's
no, you're right, and it would be better, right, if he just said, look, I'm treating the cups with absolute minor kind of priority. Let's get the Bairns out. Let's give them a run. Let's see what different options we've got in different parts of the field. He went for a hodgepodge mix of a team. They didn't click. They didn't play. They didn't turn up. And we're at home, I read earlier on that Cloughy has never lost since 2018 when he first started managing. He did what he did with Burton, and he's always at least got a draw. He's going to be absolutely over the moon, and I've got a lot of time for the lad. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not good, really, is it? No.
Okay, well, let's get on to the player ratings, which I'm sure will be a barrel of laughs, just like the first 15 minutes or so this conversation has been. Remy Matthews, and I would say didn't have a great deal to do. He didn't fuck up for once. No. So there's a positive.
He nearly did in the first 10 minutes when he went out to punch a corner onto their lad's head. But bar that, he actually made a good save as well in the second half when their lad drove through, and it was a kind of good save for him. I've given him a 5 just because I don't think he had I can't give him any more because he hasn't kept a clean sheet or anything like that, but hasn't particularly done anything wrong to lead to a goal, so that's probably getting better for him, but still he worries me anyway.
Yeah, I went with the 6. Malc McFadzean, next up, I'll let you have him. Like you said, he had a great debut, but what mark would you give him out of 10?
So first off, I gave him a 7. I thought he was our best outlet down the left. Diamond didn't do a lot in the first half. He was a bit quieter than McFadzean was. Second half, I gave him a 6, and then obviously he was subbed off partway through the second half. Rightly so, he's been released from another club. He isn't fully match fit even for a game against Mansfield Town. But so I'd give him, if we're allowed decimals, I'd give him a 6.5. I thought he had a strong debut, and like I said in the build-up, it gives me a lot of confidence that if we have an issue with Hume, and he's had a couple of injuries, we've got an option. How he performs at League One or other standards is to be seen, but he did well today.
Yeah. Next up is Tom Flanagan. I'll take that. Nice easy one, I think. And actually, I say a nice easy one. We were talking off air, Malc, and I said I thought he was all right, not too bad. So I gave him a 6, but I've got a feeling you lads might not agree with that. I just don't know if he did too much wrong. I don't think. No. Me thinking behind this is, with all three of the centre halves, really, is that I don't think Mansfield troubled us a lot. Flanagan gave a Flanagan performance for me. He was all right but he had a few stray passes in there. But much of a muchness at the back, so that's why I've given him a 6.
Yeah, I didn't write down any howlers, but he had a steady game. A couple of good passes. One in the first half to Grigg where we forced a corner. Couple of saves. He put a good tackle in the first half after Dobby the house elf managed to lose the ball. And he had a steady game. I don't disagree with the scoring there. I thought he was quieter in the second half, but then the whole team was. They just weren't at it.
Cool. Let's blast through the rest of these defenders and Conor Mclaughlin.
Yeah, I've given him a 7 actually. I thought he was, considering he was playing the central, like the Bailey Wright position, I thought he did really well today. I would honestly be tempted now we're talking about like Flanagan here, but when we're all, because obviously they're both not there next week, but I'd be sorely tempted to play him instead of Flanagan because I think he's a better defender than Flanagan. Well, he's what he does defensively, he does well. So I've went for 7.
Yeah, couldn't disagree. I think he played really well today. He was one of the shining lights of the performance, I would say. Dion Sanderson, Malc, not much to write home about, I would say.
Not a great deal. No. He was a Mr. 5. Early in the first half, he put the keeper under pressure a bit with a dodgy back pass. But then he had a couple of good tackles. There was a good cut-out pass on the 32nd minute. And he put a really good cross into Will Grigg midway through the second half, about 65 minutes in. But, obviously, neither of them resulted in a goal. Otherwise, we wouldn't be as fed up as we are today. But, yeah, he was a 5 for me. He had a steady game, and he's building his capability up well.
Yeah. Jack Diamond for me, a 7. I give him a 7 in both halves. Just think one negative to his performance for me, and it's a slight one really, but his final ball wasn't always great. It was hit and miss. But the fact that he was taking his man on consistently and getting past them and delivering a ball gives me cause for optimism. And you've probably got to give him credit for the fact that he's playing out of position again. Whenever he plays, he's playing wing back, which I know isn't at times too different to the position he's probably used to playing, but it's basically a winger with defensive responsibility. But I just think that he makes the best of it when he does play, and every time I see him I just kind of want to see a little bit more of him, and the problem is that he's not getting enough chances. So 7 out of 10 for me. Dobson next up, and I think it is Ant.
Well done.
Oh, wonderful.
Good stuff.
Dobby the house elf's a great shout, by the way. You know what? I don't think he was as bad in the second half as he was the first. Thought first half he was absolutely shocking. But he's a player I don't particularly want to see in a red and white top, to be honest. I'd rather see Dan Neil than George Dobson, because I don't think George Dobson's any good. And that's probably not down to him. It's just his ability as a footballer isn't great. His passing's not great. The only thing that really makes him stand out is a ridiculous haircut, isn't it? So even though today, first half he was shocking. I had him as a 3 in the first half, so I've rose up to a 4 just because in the second half I thought his passing was a little bit better. I thought he was maybe just a little bit better than Power, but we'll go into Power next. But that's really not saying much, to be honest. So I've went 4. I'm sorry if that's harsh.
That's not harsh at all, mate. No.
I gave him a 4
that's
too.
Not harsh.
Good. Max Power, Malc?
He's invisible. I'm sorry, Gav, but what does he do?
He's a crab.
We've talked about
actually,
this.
He's a bad crab, because normally when you call a footballer a crab, it means they only pass sideways, but he can't even pass sideways.
I'd rather have the Max Power of The Simpsons playing for us than Max Power, to be honest.
At least he can blow up a bloody nuclear reactor, wouldn't you? No, so in the first half I gave him a 4, and I thought that was generous. In the second half I gave him a 3. I think I wrote down his first forward direction pass was on the 57th minute. And this guy was, when we first got this lad involved, he was shooting from the edge of the box. He was really a proper attacking midfielder, and I don't know what's happened, if it's what he's being asked to do or whatever. But yeah, I'd give him a 3.5. Loads of wasted possession. Loads of ambitious. He's looking for the miracle pass when he can't play the simple one. Just keep it simple, son.
Yeah.
3.5 for me, and I could bang on about how bad he's been all day, but I'm going to stop.
I actually had him as 2 out of 10 at half time, and I marked him up to a 4, and I've got no idea why. I just think I didn't want to be too nasty about him. just
stuck with a 2 for me.
Just shit. I'm just sick of defending.
Even in
crap
the 88th
performances.
minute, you're right, Gav. Even in the 88th minute, right, I wrote down, he gave the ball away when we're desperate to try and get an equaliser and keep the game alive. He gave the ball away 3 minutes from the end of the game, you know. He's the
Trying to
captain.
pass it backwards as well. I don't as well.
You just can't
pass it backwards in the 88th minute.
He's the captain. Sort yourself out, son. You know, it's just not acceptable.
Yeah. Go on, take a drink of that beer, Malc. You deserve it. Go on. Seen you itching to get a mouthful there. Right, CM, Chris Maguire, that's me. Crap, 2 out of 10, just don't want to talk about it. He just looked like he couldn't be bothered today, and that's why he went off. Next one, Will Greigant.
Yeah, I've given him a 5. Might be slightly harsh. I don't think we didn't play to his strengths, which we never do. But it would have been nice to see him kind of move about a little bit more. It kind of reminded us more of last season's Will Grigg than what pre-season Will Grigg we saw, where he was very sharp. But he rolled his man a couple of times. But yeah, I can't give him any more than a 5. Yeah.
Danny Graham, Malc. Wow.
Yeah. Can I give him a word instead of a number? And that would be wasteful. You know, all the chances that dropped to our team, especially in the first half, you know, he hit the post in the 8th minute, which I thought was unlucky. He hit the bar in the 11th minute. You know, he got a yellow card half an hour in, and I think that killed his game. He bottled it. You know, he didn't really go for it anymore. Not that what he did was good enough. He should have scored in the second half. He had another poor touch 50 odd minutes in. I had him 5 for the first half, and I put him down for 3 or 4 for the second half, and then he was subbed off, so I'd round that up to a 4.5 at best. You've got to be taking your opportunities. What all the criticism of Wyke, he's scoring, and Graham just didn't. So
that's it. Yeah, I mean, I give him a 2 because the 2 is for his movement, because the one thing about Danny Graham is he gets in good positions. He's just a hopeless finisher. I'll quickly rattle through the subs so we can get this finished. I've got Charlie White as a 5, which is probably generous, but he did have a header. Embleton, I've given a 6. He did actually all right. I just don't think he was on the pitch long enough. And O'Brien, less said about him, the better, really. He's got a 4 off me, and I'm probably being kind again. He's a dud, like he really is. I don't like to be harsh about new signings until I've seen them properly, and I feel like I've seen Aidan O'Brien properly. I'm going to ask you both for a rating for the manager, because we were asked to do this, and I thought, why not? And I think today is probably a good time to do it.
Who's asked us to do that?
Somebody on social media asked. It was a fan letter. That was it. It was a fan letter.
It was a fan letter during the week. Right, yeah.
Somebody asking us to maybe include manager ratings, and I don't think we've always done it, but we'll try it again today.
We did it once or twice.
In the interest of fairness, we'll do it from here on in. Party rating and out of 10.
2, and that's been generous.
Yeah, I would agree. 2.5. Just tactically flat, substitutionally nonsensical, the only cop out we give him is, did he want us out of the cup? If he did, then well done. But 2.5.
Well, he gets a 0 from me. Just terrible. Right, okay. Well, we'll end things there. Thank you, lads, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you don't want to jump off the Weir Bridge, whatever, because we're so depressing. I'm sorry. I really am sorry, but it is impossible to be good about that today. We were shocking from start to finish, and I feel better for having this conversation. I'm off to go and get pissed.
At least we're honest, We're honest.
Yeah, I'm going to have a good drink to try and forget about it. Totally avoid the AFL show, and then on Tuesday night pay another
Won't
tenner.
be on, it was a cup.
Well, yeah, and pay another tenner on Tuesday to watch us play Fleetwood in the trophy, which I'm sure
which
will
is
be
another
thrilling.
dead rubber, isn't it?
Well,
yeah,
it'll be another thriller. It'll be another thriller, I'm sure. But yeah, cheers, lads, for joining us, and everybody join us back here over the weekend. I think Connor's got a group of lads together to talk about this game in more detail, so yeah.
That's going to be a happy clap, isn't it?
Yeah, if you want to hear even more about Mansfield beating us in the FA Cup, then be sure to tune in, and we will catch you all down the road.